For the pleasure of the Lordship, Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Radha Vallabh, Shri Jagannath Balada Subhadra, Srila Prabhupada, and all the assembled devotees. Daily score report for Wednesday, 3rd of August. Books distributed. Chaitanya Lila Mataji. 2 medium, 3 big, and 1 mahabig for 6 book points. Zach Prabhu, 7 small, 1 big, and 4 mahabig for 10.75 book points. And Nanda Gopal Prabhu, 16 mahabig for 32 book points. That gives the daily total of 7 small, 2 medium, 4 big, and 21 mahabig for 48.75 book points. Preaching score, Radha Chaiba, 96 guests for 1,158 Lakshmi points. Crossways, 321 guests for 2,725 Lakshmi points. That gives the daily total of 417 guests for 3,883 Lakshmi points. Lakshmi liberated Chaitanya Lila Mataji, 50. Temple Shop, 77. Zek Prabhu, 97. And Nandagopal Prabhu, 204. That gives the daily total of 428 Lakshmi points. And running weekly total of 17,951 Lakshmi points. Sankirtan Yagna ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Guru Charana Padma Sadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Bandamaye Savadhana Mate. Bandamaye Savadhana Mate. Jahara Prata Devai Bhavatoriya Jahai Jahara Krishna Prapti Hai Jahan Hai Te Prapti Hai Jahan Krishna Krishna prapti hai jahan hoite. Krishna prapti hai jahan hoite. Garma ka padma vacha kitete koriya acha guru. Arana kari hamane acha. Arana kari hamane acha. Charane rati aise utama gati. Rati gati. Ja prasade pure sarva acha. Sade Jai prasade pure sarva acha. Sade sarva chakudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu se dan dilo ne. Chakudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu se dan dilo jai divya gyan hridaya prakachita. Divya gyan hridaya prakachita. Prema bhakti jaha vaite avidya vinacha jati. Prema prema bhakti jaha vaite avidya vinacha jati. Prema bhakti jaha Vede gai jahan racharita. Vede gai jahan racharita. Shri Guru Karuna Chindu Adama Janara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Shri Guru Karuna Chindu Adama Janara Bandhu. Lokanath Lokirativana. Ah Prabhu karo daya de more padachayo. Ah Prabhu Ah Prabhu karo daya de more padachaya. Ah Prabhupada karo daya de more padachaya. Abhijaj kushukri bhuvana. Srila Prabhupada patita pavana. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे नमस्ते देवे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radhanda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Pala Jaya Jaya Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Pala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Kala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya 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 Gopala Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Radhe Radha Vallabha Radha Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Radha Radha Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe Radha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Mai Jagannatha Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Om Ishnapada Paramahansa Pariragacharya Stutra Vahichana Bhaktivedanta Swami Om Ishnapada Paramahansa Pariragacharya Stutra Bhaktivedanta Swami Goswami Guru Krishna Puja Kriya, Melbourne Mahaprabhu Mandir Kriya, Harinam Sankirtan Kriya, Harinam Sankirtan Kriya, Harinam Sankirtan Kriya, Janti Prasad Samadhi Bhakti Nitai Gaur Prema Nitai Gaur Prema All
My only wish is Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana. Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. जो विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद सिद्धोन श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Is it happening? Oh, it's from my phone, I think. Can someone pass that phone? Yeah, you can give me in case anything happens. Thank you. Jyam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Ashtottara Shri Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Vrndesa Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, entitled King Chitraketu's Lamentation, verse number 18. Atmanam pragridishwadha nidhaya shreya apnuyat rajñā tatha prakritayo naradeva hitadhayaha Atmanam pragadishwadha nidhaya shreya apnuyat rajñā tatha prakritayo naradeva hitadhayaha. Word to word translation: Atmanam, himself. Pragadishu, under the seven royal elements, under these seven royal elements. Adha, directly. Nidhaya, placing. Shreyaha, ultimate happiness. Apnuyat, may obtain. Rajñā, by the king. Tatha, so also. Prakritayaha, the dependent royal elements. Naradeva, O king. Ahita adhayaha, offering wealth and other items. O king, O lord of humanity, when a king directly depends upon his associates and followers their instructions, he is happy. Similarly, when his associates offer their gifts and activities to the king and follow his orders, they are also happy. Purport by His Divine Graces Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The actual happiness of a king and his dependents is described in this verse. A king should not simply give orders to his dependents because he is supreme. Sometimes he must follow their instructions. Similarly, the dependents should depend on the king. The mutual dependence will make everyone happy. Verse 19. Apitara prajamatya bhartya shnayenyodha mantrinaha paura janapata dhubhupa atmaja vashavartinaha. O king, your wives, citizens, secretaries and servants and the merchants who sell spices, oil and under your control. Are you also in full control of ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provincial governors, your sons and your other dependents? The master or king and his subordinates should be interdependent. Through cooperation, both of them can be happy. Yasyatmanu vashaschesya sarvetat vashaga ima loka sapala yachandi sarve balim atantritaha. If the king's mind is fully controlled, all his family members and governmental officers are subordinate to him. His provincial governors present tax on time without resistance, and what to speak of lesser servants. Angira Rishi asked the king whether his mind was also under control. This is most essential for happiness. Atmanaha priyate natma parataha svata eva va lakshaye labdha kamam tvam chintaya shavalam mukham. O King Chitraketu, I can observe that your mind is not pleased. You seem not to have achieved your desired goal. Is this because of you yourself, or has it been caused by others? Your pale face reflects your deep anxiety. Evam vigalpito rajan vidusha manina pisa prashrayavanto bhyaha prajakamastato munim. Shukadeva Goswami said, O King Parikshit, although the great sage Angira knew everything, he inquired from the king in this way. Thus King Chitraketu, desiring a son, bent low in general humility, great humility, and spoke to the great sage as follows. Since the face is the index of the mind, a saintly person can study the condition of one's mind by seeing his face. When Angira Rishi remarked about the king's discolored face, Chitraketu explained the cause of his anxiety as follows. Chitraketu vacha Bhagavan kimna viditam tabo jnana samadhibhi yoginam dhvasta papanam bahiranta sharirishu. King Chitraketu said, O great Lord Angira, because of austerity, knowledge and transcendental samadhi, you are freed from all the reactions of sinful life. Therefore, as a perfect yogi, you can understand everything external and internal regarding embodied, conditioned soul like us. Tathabhi prachado bhuyam brahmanatmani chintitam bhavato vidusha chapi choditatvat anujnaya. O great soul, you are aware of everything, yet you are asking me why I am full of anxiety. Therefore, in response to your order, let me disclose the cause. Lokapalelapi parthaya samrajyasya aishwarya sampada na nandayanti aprajammam kshutrut kamam ivapare. As a person aggrieved by hunger and thirst is not pleased by the external gratification of flower garlands or sandalwood pulp, I am not pleased with my empire, opulence or possessions, which are desirable even for a great demigod, because I have no son. Verse 26. Tadapahi mahabhaga purvaisaha gatam tamaha yadha tarema dushparam prajaya tad vidhehinaha. Therefore, O great sage, please save me and my forefathers who are descending to the darkness of hell, because I have no progeny. Kindly do something so that I may have a son to deliver us from hellish conditions. According to Vedic civilization, one gets married simply to have a son, who is indeed to offer oblations to his forefathers. King Chitraketu responsibly desired to beget a child so that he and his forefathers might be delivered from the darkest regions. He was concerned with how to get Pinda oblation in the next life, not only for himself but also for his forefathers. Therefore, he requested Angira Rishi to favor him by doing something that could help him get a son. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Here we can hear the conversation between Angira Rishi and Chitraketu Maharaj. Angira Rishi, even though all-knowing, he knows what's going on in the mind of the great king. Still, he inquired very systematically about king's well-being. He wanted to know what's going on. And he came to the conclusion. Here there are many instructive statements, as we can see here, that is he completely happy, or is there are any issues? He asked about the subjects. Are the subjects following his orders? And vice versa. If there are some good instructions from his subjects, is he following those instructions? Are the subjects offering gifts to the king? Similarly, his wives, citizens, secretaries and servants, merchants, are they all under the control of the king? Because it is very important for the king to control the subjects. Otherwise, there is no possibility of law and order in the society. Then he asked about the family members, about the residents, about the servants. In this way, Angira Rishi tried to cover the whole field in governance of his kingdom. Finally, the great Rishi came to the conclusion that after everything have achieved, still I cannot find any happiness on your face. So what is really going on? So that was the question posed by Angira Rishi. And of course, Chitraketu Maharaj is a great king, and he knew the position of Angira Rishi. Thus, he asked Angira Rishi, is there a real need for me to inform what is really going on in my mind? Because you know present, past and future. Being a great yogi, having all mystic perfections. Still, since the great sage has asked, Angira Rishi has asked, Chitraketu Maharaj was ready to answer. He said, he doesn't have a son, and the purpose of son is to deliver him and his forefathers from the hellish condition of life. This is Vedic culture. Vedic culture is about not just this lifetime, but it is also about future lifetimes. Similarly, it is not just about our own self, but about forefathers and the dependents. Chitraketu Maharaj desired a son from his wives, but that didn't happen. So it is mentioned, according to Vedic civilization, one gets married simply to have a son who is needed to offer oblations to his forefathers. So this is the Vedic culture, this is the Vedic tradition. And strictly following the Vedic tradition, Chitraketu Maharaj wanted a son. So it is mentioned, Dharmartha kama mokshaya bharya samprapti hetavaha. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that the purpose of getting married is dharma, artha, kama and moksha. The four purusharthas, or the four primary objectives of life. One, to perform dharma, to perform one's religious duties. One may get married. And to obtain artha, or wealth, because dharma will lead to attainment of artha. And then that will lead to kama, sense gratification. And finally, the purpose, the ultimate purpose is moksha or liberation. And on that path, it is mentioned that one needs to get purified by the oblations that are being offered to the forefathers and himself, in case if somebody is stuck in hellish conditions of life. If somebody is stuck in hellish conditions of life, then we need help by offering pinda. So pinda ceremony is nothing but offering Krishna prasadam to the forefathers. That is the essence of pinda ceremony, and that can help for a conditioned soul who is stuck in the hellish condition to get delivered and make further progress in life. So if one can eventually come to the path of Krishna consciousness, that is perfection. And thus, Chitraketu Maharaj desired a son. Now we can say that here Chitraketu Maharaj is acting on the platform of Varna and Ashram. He is acting on the platform of Varnashrama Dharma. And thus, he considers his duty is to have a son for himself and for his forefathers, as we will see later. Angira Rishi indeed blessed Chitraketu Maharaj to have a son. However, the great sage warned Chitraketu Maharaj that this son will be the cause of your distress as well as pleasure. You know that, right? So, what is his name? Exactly. So, the son's name is Harshashok. So, he is going to be the cause of both distress and happiness. The king thought, that's not a big deal, because I may be put into some misery because my son may be a bit mischievous. And so, I will have to go through some trouble. That is okay. Still, indeed, I will have a son. He had this great kingdom. He had thousands and thousands of wives. Still, he couldn't beget a son. So this is the Varnashram platform. On the Varnashram platform, he wanted a son, and he got the blessings of Angira Muni. Indeed, by the blessing of this great sage, the king begot a son. So that is the great pleasure of the king. And that was the great pleasure of his queen. So we had to be careful that Chitraketu Maharaj begot his son in one of the queens. So he had thousands and thousands and thousands of queens, and of which he got a son from one of the queens. And then what happened? All other queens became envious of this one queen. Why is it so? Because the king's attention was completely dedicated to this one lady. He forgot about all other queens. When this happened, all other queens became very vigilant of the situation, because now the boy is just a young baby. Now this king is only attached to his principal queen at this point. So they considered, soon we are going to lose our position. They felt very insecure in the palace. Can you see? In fear, we become very insecure. So insecurity is a reason to act in a very crazy way. Fear and insecurity goes together. Can you see? When there is fear, there is insecurity. Or when there is insecurity, there is fear. So they go hand in hand. So this thousands and thousands of queens, 1 million queens, they felt insecure. And what they do? They conspired and they poisoned this child. Can you think about it? The depth of cruelty that can bring forth by this emotion of insecurity and fear. They acted very callously. They didn't have any heart. They poisoned a young baby. When his mother went and looked at the baby, she was thinking, the baby is sleeping. She tried to wake the baby. No, the baby was not responding. She got into great anxiety and she realized that the child is no more. She was fainted at the same spot. And the king came to know what happened to his child. He aspired for the child for such a long time. He tried to beget a child in so many wives. Everything failed. At the end, he got the blessings of Angira Rishi, and finally he got a son, and that son is now dead, poisoned. Think about the amount of pain he was going through. Because on one side, it is the depth of agony he was experiencing for not having a child. It is like one being very poor, struggling, there is nothing to eat. One is going for empty stomach for a long time. And then somebody is offering some food or offering some wealth. And after obtaining some wealth, that too not small quantity, immense wealth. So one day or a few days, one has immense wealth, and after that, one is taken away, or somebody takes away all the wealth. What happens? So one didn't have anything, now he has everything. Next moment, everything is taken away. So then, such a person will feel deepest dissatisfaction, deepest misery, because he didn't have anything. If he had continued that state, it was all right. But from there, he got everything, so he was relieved completely from his anxiety, and one is put back to the same anxiety in a very forceful way. This was the situation of King Chitraketu. So he was lamenting. So that's why this chapter is Lamentation of King Chitraketu. Now, here is the important point. The important point is that he wanted a son according to his material desires, as he was following the Varnashram Dharma. And the nature of this material world is such that one can have the topmost thing in one's life, but from there one can fall down immediately. This is the nature of this world. I was speaking to one person many years back. He was mentioning that he was a very rich person. He was a very rich person. He had a palatial house, good family, big bank balance. He was doing very well at one point in life. He said at one point he invested everything, all his money somewhere, and he said the only way it could have gone wrong is 3 things have to go wrong simultaneously. Then he will lose everything. Otherwise he will not lose everything. He will have at least something. So he had 3 investments and he was sure that at least something will work. And then what happened? He lost all of them simultaneously. He practically, you can see that, you are someone who is up there, and the next day, absolutely nothing. He had to sell his palatial house. He was practically left with nothing. So he was telling the experience of going from filthy rich to not even a middle class, pretty much straight to poverty. He was mentioning how difficult it is. Another person's story I was hearing, very rich person, rich family, business people living in New York, jewelers, lot of money, affluence, only socializing with high status people, high class people. So you have that kind of a social circle. So life is going all good. But at one point, things didn't go the way they wanted. Everything collapsed. So they didn't become poor. They came to probably a lower middle class standard. So they were mentioning that it is practically difficult to face such a reality, coming from an affluence to a lower middle class status. You have something to eat, you have somewhere to sleep, but still you don't have the same social circle. You don't shop at the same kinds of shops. You don't have the same kinds of cars. You don't have the same kind of clothings. And practically they said that they couldn't survive in the same city because they couldn't handle such kind of a landscape anymore, because what they were used to is no more available for them. So this is the material nature. So we have to be very careful about this material nature. Never take this material nature for granted. It can change at any point in time. So this is a warning of Bhagavad Gita right in the beginning. Very right in the beginning, second chapter. Verse 14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sugha dughada agama payino nityam tam titikshasva bharata. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. There are the dualities. That is the nature of this world. And when that flip can happen, we don't know. It is not in our control. So Maharaj Chitraketu is demonstrating that practical point for all of us. That is, from all good fortune to nothingness. From nothingness to all good fortune. From all good fortune to nothingness. And even see the karmic situation of Chitraketu Maharaj. He had millions of wives. He had unchallenged kingdom. He had immense wealth. He had royal lives. He had so many servants, armies, ministers, everything at his control. But karma is such that he didn't have any children. This is the dualities of this world. This is the karmic cycle. So you have the karma for everything, but not to have a child. So this is karmic situation of this world. And we have to accept the reality. And then, so that is, in one sense, he was fortunate to have such a royal birth. But on the other side, had to go through misery. And then all the miseries were completely removed from his life. He had good fortune. And the next moment, again back to complete misfortune. Chitraketu Maharaj is portraying a classic material life. We may think it will not happen to us. It's not for us. We don't know. We have to accept the reality what's going to happen. And in that situation, Chitraketu Maharaj is not a pure devotee. He had his material desires, but still he's acting on the platform of Varnashram Dharma. And so he wanted a child. And he got a child and he lost the child again. And next point is even more critical, that when he was going through such a miserable situation, he became the recipient of greatest of the mercy. So this is another point. So can you see the twists and turns in this pastime? Narada Muni and Angira Muni returned, and they knew exactly what happened. They knew the lamentation of Chitraketu Maharaj. And by the potency of Narada Muni, he invited the soul. You want the child, you lost your child, I will bring your child. So by the potency of Narada Muni, the child appeared in front of Chitraketu Maharaj. Only great sages can do that. And the child started speaking. It's very wonderful, the speech of the child. Do you know what did the child say? No? You don't know? Here we go. She knows the answer. So the child started speaking. So Narada Muni said, here you are. Here is your father. He's lamenting after you. But the child, the spirit soul, started speaking. Which father, which mother? Which father are you talking about? Because I had millions of births. And in all these millions of births, I had millions of fathers and mothers. So which father are you talking about? This is shocking. Now, see this dramatic situation. Because Chitraketu Maharaj is so much attached to his child, to his son, and the son is speaking on the platform of the spirit soul. This is a very powerful conversation if you think about. Because here we can see the depths of attachment, depths of material attachment, and here we can see the child purely speaking on the platform of being a spirit soul, completely on the spiritual platform, by the mercy of Narada Muni. It's not by accident. Normally a child cannot speak like this. But by the mercy of Narada Muni, the spirit soul is speaking. Who is my father? Who is my mother? And here, very important point to learn, that if somebody is speaking with realization, it has impact. It's not about how good one can speak. It's not being a charismatic speaker. But it's about the realization. So this child, by the mercy of Narada Muni, had immense realization, or at least he spoke on that immense platform of immense realization, and it directly penetrated the heart of King Chitraketu. Immediately, Chitraketu Maharaj came to his senses. All his attachments were shattered into pieces. He had realization of the reality of life. Then he understood, whoever I am considering as my child is not my child. Can you see that? He had such a profound detachment. So from complete attachment to complete detachment. Can you see the transformation? So if you analyze this past time, we can see so much of twists and turns, ups and downs, everything happening like a flash. So Chitraketu Maharaj was, materially he was completely remorseful. Then he became materially very, very happy. Then again, very remorseful. And now, from this material dualities, now he has come to the transcendental platform. That is, being detached. And then, ready to get spiritual instructions from Narada Muni. So that is the point. He got the mantra to chant and to get perfection in life. So that's where Chitraketu Maharaj started worshipping Sankarshan with complete dedication. So he became a practitioner of bhakti. It's not that he was not a practitioner before, but now he came to the transcendental platform. So can you see? Previously he acted on the Varnashram platform. Yes, Varnashram need a child. We don't deny that. So need a child, family, etc. No one denied that aspect. But here, Chitraketu Maharaj has come now to the next platform, which is the spiritual platform. There he started worshipping the Lord. And as we can see, he perfected his life. In one lifetime, he perfected his life. So his realization was so strong that he could wholeheartedly take up to bhakti process and could perfect the life. And from there, he becomes the Vidyadhara. So he didn't immediately go back home, back to Godhead, even though he was on a perfected stage. Rather, he accepted the body of Vidyadhara. And by the mercy of Sankarshan, he saw Sankarshan, Lord Sankarshan directly. And by the mercy of Sankarshan, he got this airplane. And in that airplane, he was traveling with different apsaras, beautiful women, glorifying Lord Sankarshan. And that's where the pastime happened, where he laughed at Lord Shiva along with Mother Parvati, and he got cursed. So all this happened in the previous chapters. So the storyline goes like this. We heard all these pastimes, how Vritrasura came about, how Vritrasura fought with Indra, how Vritrasura got killed, how Vritrasura went back home, back to Godhead. We heard everything. Now, this is like a flashback, the previous episode. who is this Vritrasura? So that's where the pastime of Chitraketu Maharaj starting. So in Bhagavatam we can hear about one lifetime of Chitraketu Maharaj here as a king, second lifetime as Vidyadhara, who was flying around worshipping the Lord, and the third lifetime as who? Vritrasura. There are 3 lifetimes we can hear. And in the third lifetime, Vritrasura went back home, back to Godhead. So can we see the progression in bhakti, going through different situations. So Bhagavatam is presenting a complete landscape, not just limited to one lifetime, but through multiple lifetimes. Just like the pastime of Narada Muni. Narada Muni, we can hear first about Narada Muni as a Gandharva who is enjoying in the heavenly kingdom. And from there, he got cursed. Upabarhana, lifetime as Upabarhana, Gandharva. And he started singing glorification of demigods in Harinam Sankirtan. And he was surrounded by lusty women. And then the Prajapati is cursed. Then he got the birth as son of a maid servant, son of a Shudrani. That is the Narada Muni we hear in the first canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He didn't know who his father was. That was his birth. So in the previous birth, he had all good fortune, but he lost it because he was with lusty women, not one or two. He was just with many number of them. He was with them enjoying and doing not the proper activities. He got cursed. And then he came to this unfortunate situation where he got the association of great devotees, Bhaktivedantas. And there he perfected his life in his second life. But still, then what happened? He got this body, spiritual body, in which he can travel and he can preach Krishna consciousness. And then in the fourth birth, he got the birth as son of Brahma. So when we hear Bhagavatam, the second canto and third canto, Narada Muni, third canto, we can hear the birth of Narada Muni from Lord Brahma. And second canto, we can hear his conversation with Lord Brahma. So this is his fourth birth as narrated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Bhagavatam is giving a complete perspective, not just limited to one lifetime. So it is opening our vision so that we understand a broader picture and we can make right decisions in our devotional life. Not just limited to our current material situations, not just limited to our current material difficulties. So yes, we had to address our current material difficulties, but see the broad spectrum and work towards that. So this is the point. So here in this pastime we can see, yes, Chitraketu Maharaj is working on one level, on the Varnashram platform, but on top of that, there is the Bhagavat platform. So he gets elevated to this Bhagavat platform, spiritual platform. And here, that is our objective, to come to the Bhagavat platform while executing Varnashram Dharma which are favorable to our Bhagavad Vidhi. So we don't deny our Varnashram duties. Whatever is favorable for our bhakti, we accept. So that's why there are ashrams, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanapras, sannyas, part of Varnashram. Different kinds of occupation, part of Varnashram. We don't deny them. But at the same time, we don't see them as all in all. Rather, they have to be supportive to our bhakti. So bhakti is our main thing. Other things are supportive. And in case of Chitraketu Maharaj, he took his Varnashram duty, especially having a child as all in all. And then by the mercy of Krishna, specifically by the mercy of Narada Muni and Angira Muni and Sankarshan, he got detachment and the process of worship. And that's how he got perfection. Okay, I stop here. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Why did Sukadeva Goswami say first about Indra first and then Vritrasura being then Chitraketu's lamentation? Why did he say first Indra first and then Chitraketu?
Okay, so here, if you read Bhagavatam, it is going in one flow. Remember the six if you see the sixth canto of Bhagavatam, here it's talking about pastimes of Indra. What happened to Indra? What did he do wrong?
He, like when Brihaspati came, he didn't get up.
Exactly. He didn't respect his spiritual master. And because of that, what happened?
Because of that, he, like the spiritual master went the spiritual master went invisibly, and he also repented. And
Yes. So he started losing his power, right? So
once they got more power.
exactly. So can you see? So there is another point, Didn't respect the spiritual master, lost the power, and who is the other side? The demons. So in the higher planets there are demons also. So they got the power. So can you see? So here we are talking about the battle between the demigods and the demons. And that's why on the demon side, who is on the demon side? Śrīmad, and here specifically, who is the powerful demon? Vrndesa. So can you see? So the Śrīmad Goswami is narrating pastimes from there, and from the battle between the demigods and the demons, and that pastime finished, and after that the question comes, who is this Vrndesa? And that's where this is explained, like a flashback. So why? Because initial Bhagavatam is speaking about the battle between the demigods and the demons, and talking about the Indra's offense. That's where it's starting from. From you start from there, you cannot speak about what's the history of Vrndesa because it's not mentioned yet. Are you getting the point? First is Brihaspati being disrespected by Indra, and then the demons gaining powers. Then the fight between the demigods and the demons, because demons getting power means they will directly go and attack the demigods, correct? And then in that fight, who is there? Vrndesa. So then the question comes, who is Vrndesa? And so it is further explained here, who is Vrndesa.
So Sukadeva Goswami knew that Parikshit Maharaj would ask the question.
Okay. In stories, we need suspense. You understand? If without suspense, there is no fun in stories. Correct? If you tell everything, say, for example, if you tell a story, whoever is telling the story, you know what's going to happen, right? Whoever is telling the story knows what's going to happen at the end. So if you tell what's going to happen in the end, in the beginning itself, then is there any suspense in the story? No, there is no fun. So, in that way, slowly, Śrīmad Goswami is presenting. That is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is, Śrīmad Goswami is in ecstasy. He is in love of Godhead. He is in ecstasy. So in ecstatic situation, there is no chronology is followed. He can speak anything because he is in ecstasy. So on the ecstatic platform, there is not necessarily he has to follow chronology. So Bhagavatam doesn't follow any chronology as such. There is some kind of chronology. There is some chronology, but not always. Why there is no chronology? Because purpose is not to present history or timeline, but the purpose is to present the transcendental wisdom. Can you see? The purpose is to present transcendental wisdom. So whatever is necessary to give spiritual wisdom, that pastime is used. Not necessarily that, okay, it has to come in this particular sequence. So it's not just a history book. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. All right, any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Granthra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.